Hello,
Hi everybody,
I am Abel.
I'm Sharon. We're back again.
Yes.
Today on project analysis today, we are going to share about this upcoming project in River Valley area called
Zyon Grant.
Yes. Okay, so basically, right, this Zyon Grant, although the first land bidder in this Zyon Road area, but do you know that the developer actually launched it, not the first?
It's the third project to be launched.
Okay, so this is interesting, and why is that so? Probably we are just discussing and thinking that this renowned developer is trying to watch the other two, see how they perform first, and then that's just our speculation. So as mentioned, it's the third project. So the following, the other two projects are River Green and Promenade Peak. Alright, so today's topic, let's go into the content proper. What we will be covering, the topic today will be, let's talk about some project info about Zyon Grant, and then also we'll talk a little bit about, is there really an oversupply issue in this area, followed by these service apartments, which is actually a new parameters introduced, and of course the layout analysis. Before we move on, okay, there's this disclaimer that we just want to quickly mention here. Our content is purely for information only, okay? It reflects our personal opinions and our research done. Please do your own checks before any property decisions. Okay, so Zyon Grant is jointly developed by CDL and Mitsui Fudosan, and it's a 99-year lease. It's also a post-harmonized GFA project, right, Abel? Meaning to say the aircon latch is not inclusive in the GFA area.
Same as the void areas.
So it's more efficient. Something to note is also an integrated development, something different from the first two, River Green and the Promenade Peak. So being integrated is directly connected to the Havelock MRT station, which is a very, very nice and convenient project. And total 7 and 6 residential units, as mentioned earlier, they come with this service apartment. The shorter one is actually 36 story, is actually the service apartment, 373 service apartments. And let's move on to the unit mix.
Okay, so for unit mix, right, actually Zyon Grant, they have quite a good number of different types of units, from 1 bedroom plus study all the way to the 5 bedroom or even the penthouse, which there's only 2 prestigious such units. I'm not going to bore you guys with all the details, just to show you that main thing to take note of, the developers are actually having a very, very fair and good mix of units, being the smaller units that are mostly, I would say, for pure investment rental purposes. They didn't build a lot of this type of units. Main thing to focus on, they did more of the 2 plus study, which is the 721 square feet, which is like a hybrid of either for own stay, small families, young couples, or even if you want to rent it out. So that's what they focus a bit more on. And also 3 plus study units, which I think can be sort of the entry price for more family upgraders and all. Of course, they also didn't build a large number of units for more of the luxe types, like all the ones with the private lift and also the penthouse units lah.
Yeah. So it's a good spread.
So location map, actually we are in the District 3 area, and also of course there's already the previous 2 projects, which is Promenade Peak and River Green. We are also situated in a similar area, Promenade Peak being just beside us.
So in fact, later on, we'll do some comparisons in terms of pricing and such using Promenade Peak.
Yeah, I think we will more or less use that as a benchmark as well. We are trying to think what the developers are thinking. That's all. Yeah. So connectivity, I think people who are aware of this area, we are under the Thomson East Coast Line, we are under the Havelock MRT, and also we are very well connected to Outram MRT, which is just the interchange, which is 1 stop, as well as just few stops down to town and Orchard, everything. So in terms of whether it's for own stay or going to the offices for those tenant pool, I think it's quite a good mix. Nearby, of course, the conveniences, we have all the food, Tiong Bahru Market, Great World City, and of course the Robertson Quay for lifestyle and everything. So I'm not going to touch too much on this. Okay, the developers, as mentioned earlier by Sharon, the CDL and Mitsui Fudosan, I think they have always been very well known in Singapore. Below are some of their luxe projects as well, which they have already done. CDL has always been very renowned in whether it's neighborhood or maybe towards the town area, the luxury properties as well.
Even hotels.
Yes, even hotels as well.
So basically, Abel, just now we were talking about oversupply issue. So is there really an oversupply in the River Valley area? Because there's so many projects. As mentioned just now earlier, the 2 projects that we mentioned, besides that, there's also upcoming ones and quite a number of units around the area.
I think there's a total of 2876 to be exact.
Yeah, all within 1 year.
Because they're all launching back to back, our estimation is that their TOP will also be back to back, maybe about 6 months to 1 year's difference.
So basically, with all this high supply congregation located in one area, many times we wonder whether it can be a threat or do we also see some opportunity from it lah.
So today we're just going to share a bit more on our own perspective. So first thing first is that the location itself. Yes, we have a few projects just right beside us, definitely our competition and all that. What I think about if you are looking to buy Zyon Grand, what is the good thing is that maybe I can just zoom in here on one thing. It's the area itself. We are right smack in between 3 main roads. So these 3 main busy roads are the ones that even if you don't stay here but you drive past here, in future when this Zyon Grand is built up, you definitely take notice of it. You definitely not miss it. So being projects like this will garner more attention when it hits the TOP part.
Resale will be quite attractive for resale buyers lah.
I mean, if you don't stay there, but maybe you're driving halfway, then you talk to your wife, hey, what's the project? Looks so nice. Because it really just stands out there. So I think one thing the advantage Zyon Grand has over its other competition is the visibility itself in the location and the area.
I mean, with such a nice facade and high visibility rate, I think the 曝光率会很高啦.
Yeah. So again, you mentioned on the visibility area. So visibility area over here, you can see that this is what I meant by the prominence of the facade itself. So with this standing as high as 62 stories and it being such a nice facade, I think definitely people will take notice of it wherever they pass by. This is for sure.
And like some projects, if you realize, if you drive along the main road, you actually can't really see the project because one thing is this is high rise. If you are not tall enough and then you'll be like flush into the surroundings, other buildings lah. So maybe do we have like some examples to show some iconic developments?
Yep. So actually, because based on our understanding, we compare more recent projects that TOP, I think sometime 2 years back in 2023. This actually is Amber Park. It is in the District 15 area. So Amber Park is also by CDL, okay? And what they built was really iconic development style in the area itself. So again, when you pass by, when you drive past by and all that, you will definitely take notice of this project. So even being just 2 years old from TOP, you can see that their profits went as high as almost $1 million. So this is one thing to take note of when you become so prominent in the area itself, even though there are many other condos in that area. Another one also maybe you can take for example, another one will be in the Park Esta, which is in the Eunos area. Okay. So Eunos area, they have some condos here and there, boutique type around the area, but this being a mega one right smack in the middle, people started to take notice of it every time they drove past by. Also this TOP sometime 2 years ago, about there, you can see the profits went as high as 1 million as well.
Wow, also doing very well.
So I think this is something that is very important if you're looking to buy into places like this. This is what I call iconic developments, which will definitely boost your future resale value or traction even.
You want to stand out among the rest. Of course. Okay, so basically just now we were talking about there is this new thing, the service department. They call it the SA2. It's a new parameters. So basically Zyon Grand has this service apartment SA2. So basically SA2 is the minimum 3 months stay for these tenants for Zyon Grand. So is service apartment a good or bad thing actually? Because there's a lot of questions like, hey, with service apartment within the same development, is it good? Is it bad? What's the impact?
Because I think the other projects, the ones that we're all launching together, they do not have this component, right?
So basically SA2 is a new pilot program, okay? But I feel for service apartments, right, tenant pools are pretty different. Even though this is a 3 month stay minimum, but I feel that the rental in service apartment actually will help set a benchmark for rental in Zyon Grand.
I think service apartments, their rental usually are also higher, right? Because they do provide services, housekeeping services and all that.
Yes. So basically, if let's say a 1-bedroom service apartment can go to about 7,500, if you are on Zyon Grand within the vicinity or the area, your rental is calling for about 5,000, 5,500, a lower range than a service apartment. Would you go for that?
I think because this service apartment, my own perspective, my own personal opinion is that service apartments, they usually have this kind of services, but it's more of a short term, like maybe this SA2, this new thing now that you mentioned is a 3 months period.
Yeah.
But as a landlord today, if I'm your agent, I don't think most landlords would prefer 3 months. They will easily like at least a year or more. So we are still looking at different tenant pool.
Yes, quite different tenant pool. So basically, for example, like tenant who comes in for short-term work, they stay for 3 months. After that, probably just a trial before they actually stay over for a longer term. Let's say they want to relocate or for a longer term service in Singapore, they will just trial stay for 3 months, 4 months. Then if later on they really settle into Singapore and they really like the area, they are familiar with this area and they really like it, they probably will rent your Zyon Grand or the area if they really like, because anyway we are in a very strategic location ma.
I mean, if the area is the same, I may expect here today. After I wish to settle down here for a longer period, I think I would rather save that 1k plus 2k and do my own, or even get a part-time helper to come. I think I save much more on that.
And then these days we understand that expats, they actually come with a package, like they are given a certain amount and then they just go and rent their own place. 7,500, 5,000 savings for 1-2 years.
I think even if I 7,500 comparing to 6,000, I'm saving 1,500 per month.
We are very conservative to say we use a 5,000, 5,500 rental, so to speak. Alright, so another thing about service apartment we can consider is actually, will it actually increase the selling price of this project, of this property, Zyon Grand that we are talking about? Because there's only one bid in this plot. And why is that so? This CDL actually won this land with 1,202 PSF per plot ratio. And probably because CDL is experienced I would say. Alright, Canning Hill Piers, they also have this service apartment.
They also have hotels under their wings, right?
Yeah, hotels, Hopton. So basically they are pretty experienced, and I think that explains why it comes only with one bid, and I think they are just taking their time to sell.
Because we also mentioned in terms of pricing, some people might be speculating. Because Zyon Grand, I think they got the land at 1,202.
With a break even of about 20xx PSF. But then again, if you are a developer, will you sell cheap?
I mean, I can, but also I'm looking at my competition. They bought the land at 1,003 plus, and I mean their sales have been doing pretty well. River Green, to take for example, 80% sold. I think Promenade Peak is also well more than half sold. So of course they still do have balance units, but I think here's the very thing to look forward for is, what will their pricing be? Because if they price it too low, then they will lose out on their own profits. But I think if they price it too high, they may be actually helping their competition sell off their balance units faster than their own units.
Because we mentioned earlier that the recent launch, some projects still has balance units. So yeah, so basically the two recent launches for this Promenade Peak, their starting PSF is the lowest because it's high rise.
As we all do know, usually because they can go up to 63 stories. So usually developers like to price the lower floors at the lower PSF, but per floor loading.
When you load up to the highest floor, you can go up to as high as 3,006 PSF. And then for River Green wise, it has the starting lowest quantum because of its size. Okay, so basically we feel, after much discussion, we feel that Zyon Grand could possibly come up with a slightly higher PSF than Promenade Peak, but then the starting price could be lower in terms of quantum. So that's a good, well-mixed balance. We use Promenade Peak is because both are very high-rise and recent launches, so it's a good comparison. That's why I think we kind of feel that the PSF could be about 2,750 PSF, starting PSF.
Starting from?
Yeah, starting from, like I mentioned, it could go as high as Promenade Peak's PSF 3,006.
Because I think for us personally, we feel that why, even though the land was bought cheaper, but they have the rights not to sell it cheaper than Promenade Peak, is also because unlike Promenade Peak, they are the only one that is integrated. Full connectivity, direct access to the MRT, which everyone in Singapore is always loving this integrated kind of thing.
Right, who doesn't love, right?
So to sell it at the same price as Promenade Peak, I would say it's still very fair. But of course, if we do see some early bird discounts or for those first few in the queue getting lower than 2,750, man, you're really lucky.
This is the starting PSF that we'll be using when later on we go through our layout analysis. We'll use to show you some starting price for different unit types. So maybe let's move on to talk about the layout analysis.
Start off with the 1+ study.
So the 1+ study, 474 square feet. One thing to note, there's this curve thing. It's actually for the facade from the outside. If you look at the building, right, it's like the RC ledge. So for some units, probably could be a little bit darker.
You can see it looks something like this, which has all the waves. There's RC ledge for the design itself to make it iconic enough. Yeah,
something like a wave thing. Let's go back to the floor plan. Another thing I want to point out is that there is no balcony for this 1+ study, okay, which is very good, in fact, because for investor wise, alright, that could also mean that the quantum will start lower.
Yes.
So it's very attractive for investor. So if this 474 square feet starting price, let's assume the 2,750 PSF, we can look at about 1.3, 1.4 million.
I think that is very attractive.
If you can get, it's really very good. So do not miss that. Anyway, this Stack 11 is facing Kim Seng Road, so it's facing this project Tribeca. So moving on, after 1+ study, we have this 2-bed 1-bath B1 Stack 5. We also only have 59 units.
Again, they don't have balcony.
Yeah, correct.
For this 2-bed 1-bath.
Yeah. So later we'll go through the different 2-bedders, 2-bed 1-bath, 2-bed 2-bath, and 2+ study. Okay, so let's take a look at the the 2-bedders. We have 2 bed, 1 bath, 2 bed, 2 bath, and 2 plus study. And this one also is without the balcony. We feel like they are really good in this layout plannings. I think it's well planned. It's more skewed towards the investor, and it will be very attractive in terms of quantum. This is a dumbbell design. It's only one stack at stack 5 over here. Okay?
This should be facing Promenade Peak.
At this inside facing, the non-road facing, I would say. So it's a very nice dumbbell design. Personally, I love dumbbell design. It's very efficient in space. And this one, we are looking at about starting 1.4 mil. Again, if you can get this starting price, right, just grab, I feel. Profit-wise, I think it's very safe to enter at this price. Okay, very decent. Rental is very ideal because I'm sure you can rent a good, probably 5,500 a month, conservatively. I think the rental use is about 4 to 4% which is very good. But if you want to make a lot, I think maybe
The bigger units.
it's still a 2-bedroom. So if you really want to look at very, very substantial profit, you may want to consider the bigger units in a good area. And I think this is one of our preferred layouts.
Yes, because I think the pricing wise, it will be the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Safe entry is what I would say.
Yeah. Okay, the next one is 2 premium, 646 square feet. This one is rare because they have actually a window in the master bath. So I think it's pretty good, decent. This starting from 1.77 million. So if you really want a piece of this CDL project, depends on your queue, seriously.
Because again, based on the unit mix, they did not build a lot of this exact type as well. They focus more on the next one, which is the 2 plus study.
So this one onwards, you get the balcony lah.
For people who really need a second bathroom.
More for own stays.
I think young couples, we can accept this, especially comparing to the other launches, recent launches in all of Singapore. Even the 2-bed, 2 baths, the master bathroom usually only uses the mechanical vent and not this natural ventilation.
Right. So that's why I feel that this is decent. The will actually give you a window over there. So the next one is 2 plus study, 721 square feet. Okay, this one is definitely make more sense for own stay. Starting price based on the PSF we talked about just now, 2750, is about 2.1 starting price. So rental wise, if you really want for rental yield, it's not fantastic. I feel that's why our top pick is still the 2 bed 1 bath.
It's still again based on the entry price, because for investors who look at rental yield, we always base on the absolute quantum that we purchase for and the rental that we'll be getting.
Yeah, more quantum sensitive. That's why in this aspect, I think CDL did very well in the planning of layouts.
So I think this starts to be skewed a bit towards own stay buyers. So for this is facing Promenade Peak and one facing more towards Tribeca at Waterfront, being stack 4 and stack 10.
So there is an option.
Then let's move on now. So this one is, I think people who own stay will probably find it more attractive right now, because you can start to imagine your family staying there. And or we just take comparison. So the smallest one we have is at 818 square feet, the 3-bedroom compact. Again, the developer did not really focus a lot on building this type of units. So it's for maybe HDB upgraders, first time home ownership who really want to get a piece of this area, this project as well. But then maybe they would like to keep their budget a little bit more conservative. We are probably looking at starting from 2.3 million again, based on the estimated PSF we are looking at. So you can see it's also still an open concept kitchen. The thing I like about this too, I think into comparison, there's these two bedrooms of 818 and 861. The main difference is only in the kitchen. You can see it's in the kitchen over here. So this is more of an open concept. This is more of a closed concept kitchen for some people who really still like to cook a bit more at home. Other than that, bedroom sizes are all pretty much similar. One thing to take note that I think I personally like about the design is that unlike conventional 3 bedrooms, whether it's the big 3 or the small 3, they always have from their master room to bedroom 2 and bedroom 3 all to one side all together. So over here, it gives more of the functional space. I don't want to talk about privacy. First, I just want to talk about we don't have such a long walkway through. So it's more efficient space as well. This goes the same for both 818 and 861 square feet. So again, in future, you are buying here, whether right now is the buyers that are going to buy, or maybe in future, when you right now, you enter at 2.3 starting from, 2.3, 2.4, for either of these types, can I say that this may also in future, if you want to sell off to nearby, who are your upgraders? Who are your buyers? So in the first place itself, we are still in District 3, but we are the ones that are nearer to town area. We are very near River Valley already. We are integrated and all. Can I say that we will appeal to the Tiong Bahru, Queenstown, Dover or Commonwealth? All these HDBs easily cross 1 million million. So with those profits that those HDB upgraders have already made, can I say that they can come over here easily to buy yours at a premium? Of course, some who make even more, they can look at the next one, which is the 3 Premium Plus Study. So right now we are at the 3 Premium Plus Study. We have two different types again, 1055 square feet and 1076 square feet. If you ask me, again, what I really like is that both of course now have the enclosed kitchen, and also that they have something in common that is very similar to, I think, some new launches, the 4-bedroom types. So you can see that their layout is spread out such in the wide frontage. Your third bedroom, right, it is on the other end of the house. So whether maybe you are living with a younger kid or maybe an extended generation and all that, we each have our own privacy. Of course, being it, they have the suggested study area that is attached to your living room. I think if you really open it up, this gives a lot of space and creativity, because now you can see that your living room looks like a more luxurious landscape feel and not a portrait, something that is a bit narrower. It gives a very wide feel.
Usually like a 4-bedder, so that's why we feel that this one really appeals to a lot of own stay.
So if you ask me, the main difference is only that the living area itself, you can see, is as wide as 6 meters from the dining all the way to the balcony. Whereas for the slightly smaller one, it's at 5.6 meters. So just 0.4 meters difference. Other than that, the bedrooms are all the same. Both have a home shelter as well. So for these two types, the larger 3 bedrooms, what we're looking at, we're estimating to be maybe starting from just below 3 million for the lower floors. Of course, the higher floors, they will go up. But I think it will be a good safe gauge to say that maybe you can start from as low as 2.9.
Our estimation.
Correct. So I think this will still be very affordable to the HDB upgraders who have made huge profits from maybe the nearby areas, Queenstown, Tiong Bahru, or even like the recent EC, those that have MOP. I think they've seen profits of almost up to $1 million as well. With both husband and wife working, I think they can well afford this price tag. Now we move on to the 4-bedroom Supreme with private lift. So all the 4 bedrooms, they come with private lift already.
Yeah, and I think for this one, we are estimating to start from about 3.9-ish onwards. Okay, but anyway, those looking at this kind of floor plate, I believe it's really the feel good factor lah. They'll just come in, and then if they really like this location, anyway, we are very centralized and integrated. Again, I can't mention enough. And of course, there is also a childcare beneath. So for this kind of luxe size, I think 3.9-ish is really very affordable.
I think the surrounding prices have also hit this amount for this kind of luxurious type of unit. So people are accepting the fact of for this price tag. So I think in terms of comparison between these two 4-bedroom Supreme with private lift, I think the main thing I can feel is that the kitchen itself and the living area. So for the smaller one, you can see that the kitchen itself is an L-shaped type, as well as it sort of juts out here into your living. As compared to the slightly larger one, you have a full squarish living over here, and your kitchen will be slightly bigger, fully enclosed on 2 ends as well. You got 2 sides of your countertop. So this is the main difference. Okay, we've said a lot of good. If you ask me what I personally might want to nitpick lah, can I nitpick a bit? Just a bit lah. Of course, if someone give me this unit, I'll also be very happy lah. But over here, I think the main thing, if people would feel that something that they do not really like, maybe would be over here in the junior master itself, where this part, to some people, they may deem it as wasted space because it's a long walkway from your entrance to your bath and then your junior master. So I think that's the only thing that I can nitpick if you want me to nitpick lah. Well, starting from 3.9, cannot say much lah. Another thing to take note, John, actually these two types, right, because they start from 3.9, so they also have units on the lower floors from the second level onwards. So the next difference that we see that has the high floors only, this is the 4-bedroom Supreme Plus Study. Again, same thing as the previous one. This is bigger at 1615 square feet. For this itself, right, I think the only difference is that we have an extra study beside your junior master over here. Other than that, everything is the same, just that over here, because it being on a more high floor, it would be deemed as even a tier above because it starts from 44 floors.
Yeah, this one it will be something like Promenade Peaks, the 4-bedder, also starting from the higher floor. That's why I say the 4-bedroom 1421, if your queue is good, you can get from the lower floor. Why not go for the lower quantum?
So I think this definitely, there might be quite a significant price jump in terms of maybe the lower floors 4 bedrooms and this type of 44 stories high. So again, I think CDL is very thoughtful in the sense that they want to cater to all. So they don't just put all these 4 bedrooms at the top floors. They have some at the lower floor. So maybe if your family needs, you really need a 4-bedroom but still want to be a bit conservative on your budget, so you can still go opt for the lower floors.
Yes.
They want to have something for everyone. Of course, depends on your queue as well. Okay, now we're at the 5 bedroom. It's getting more and more like a landed high floors already.
So this kind of quantum, do you have other options? I don't know. I will leave it up to you. But then it's still very luxurious at 1819 with private lift. I think not much difference from the 4-bedder. There's one more bedroom extra. So basically, I think we really have to see the actual price tag during launch day. And then of course from there we move on to our two most luxe one will be our 2 penthouses.
Only 2 units.
Yeah. So
One for you, one for me.
yeah, to sell. One for you to sell. Okay, you choose first which one you want to sell.
Dream big also. Must dream big.
Yes, of course. So the penthouses we have is
Both on the top floors, right?
2659 and this 2756. So only 2.
Actually, you can see we can look at the floor plans. So our floor plans, you can see spending at 2756 square feet. Actually, the floor plate is on a single floor plate itself. So it is actually much bigger than a lot of the landed, Most like terrace houses, the land size is about 1,006 to up to 2,000. This is 2,756 square feet on a single floor plating itself, right? It really gives you what people would say landed living in the skies.
Yeah, in the sky, really in the sky. So anyway, there's only 2, but we are guessing probably 10 million-ish. So for that price, yeah, if we can get, we'll be good. Our dream.
Okay, so that's all. I think that's all today for our simple analysis on Zyon Grand. Ultimately, there are still a number of others to consider, whether because everyone has their own individual priorities and criteria and all. I mean, of course, you can always feel free to reach out to us and we can analyze for you even further as what others you can also compare with.
If you need any further analysis from anything that we mentioned today, feel free to reach out to us, especially when the pricing is out, we can have better gauge.
This is expected to preview on the 8th of October, very soon. So if anything, if you would like to come down to the show flat and have a look, feel free to reach out to us.
Yes.
I'm Abel.
I'm Sharon.
And we're signing off. Bye-bye.
Bye.